To comfort the new transfer student who had gotten himself into some trouble, my supposed best friend, Chloe, decided to tell him all about the time I was bullied. When I eventually confronted her about it, she just waved it away, casually remarking that it was all in the past. "I just hope he can get through it like you did," she said, as if that made everything okay. In the end, I gathered up all the little gifts and mementos Chloe had given me over the years and returned them to her without a single word about our shared history. Life moved on. I was accepted into my dream university and later returned to my old high school to give a speech to the students. By then, the new transfer student's web of lies had completely unraveled, and both he and Chloe had become cautionary tales, examples of what not to do. I remember Chloe's lips trembling as she looked at me that day. "You used to be the one," she whispered, "who never let anyone make fun of me." I just managed a small, indifferent smile. "It's all in the past," I replied, echoing her own words back at her. "I just hope everyone can learn from the mistakes you made." The day I won the citywide essay competition was supposed to be a highlight of my high school career. I was practically buzzing with excitement, eager to share the good news with everyone back in class. But the moment I stepped through the doorway, I was met with a sea of strange, pitying looks. Leo, the new kid, blinked his wide, innocent eyes at me. "Mark," he said, his voice laced with a performative sadness, "who would have thought you were bullied too? And so horribly. That's just heartbreaking." The award certificate I was holding slipped from my fingers and fluttered to the floor. I felt a cold shock spread through me. "What are you talking about?" I managed to ask, my own voice sounding distant. Leo offered a harmless-looking smile. "Come on, Mark, we all know," he said, his tone infuriatingly gentle. "You were bullied because you were so timid. You probably still have the scars, right? That must be why you always wear long-sleeved shirts, even in the middle of summer." He pulled out his phone, tapping the screen and zooming in on a photograph. "Wow, those guys were just awful," he continued, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "Locking you in the bathroom, dousing you with dirty water, tearing up your clothes. Mark, that's just a terrible thing to go through." As he spoke, he angled his phone so the students sitting nearby could get a clear look at the pictures. After glancing at the images, my classmates shifted their gazes back to me, their expressions a complex mixture of pity, curiosity, and discomfort. Some of them even took an unconscious step backward, creating a physical distance between us. In that moment, not a single person spoke up in my defense. The truth was, Leo and I had transferred to this school around the same time. My reserved personality meant I hadn't made a lot of friends, and the only person I felt truly close to was Chloe. But she wasn't in the classroom at that moment. My mind went completely blank. I couldn't process that the secret I had guarded so carefully, the past I wanted to bury forever, was being laid bare for everyone to see. The feeling of profound isolation was suffocating, instantly transporting me back to those dark, miserable days. I squeezed my eyes shut, fighting to control the surge of anger that was rising within me. "Leo, shut up," I said, my voice low and tight. "You have no right to talk about my past." As soon as the words left my mouth, someone in the class immediately jumped to Leo's defense. "Why are you telling him to shut up? He's just trying to be nice and comfort you. With an attitude like that, it's no wonder you were bullied before." Leo, ever the actor, quickly interjected with a show of magnanimity. "Guys, don't say that," he pleaded. "I know Mark is being a little harsh with me, but Chloe told me he's a really great person. We should all try to look out for him." He then bent down and picked up my fallen certificate, holding it up for everyone to see. "Look, Mark won the essay competition. We should all be congratulating him." Seeing this, one of Leo's friends let out a cynical sneer. "Who knows? Maybe he just wrote about being bullied to win, played the sympathy card with the judges. If I wrote about my own sob story, maybe I could win an award too. What's so special about that? With a cold expression, I slapped Leo's hand away from me. Don't touch me. The force of the push made him stumble backward, nearly crashing into a desk. Just then, Chloe appeared in the doorway. She moved quickly, catching Leo just before he fell. She had a small bag of medical supplies from the nurse's office, which she handed to him before turning to frown at me. Mark, stop making trouble. The class bell rang then, and everyone scurried back to their seats. I couldn't concentrate on a single word the teacher said for the entire lesson. When the bell rang again, signaling the end of class, Chloe walked over to my desk. She placed a small, wrapped gift on it to celebrate my win, then crouched down beside me. What happened? She asked softly. Why were you so upset? You should be happy about winning the award. A sharp pang of grievance shot through me. They were all talking about me being bullied, I said, my voice barely a whisper. They were even showing around old photos of me. Chloe's body stiffened for a second. She was about to say something when Leo interrupted, a flicker of pride in his eyes. Mark, don't blame Chloe, he said with a smile. She only told me about your past with bullying because she was trying to comfort me. I was stunned. I turned to Chloe, my eyes starting to well up with tears as I repeated Leo's words. To comfort him? So you told him about me being bullied? Is that right? Chloe hesitated for a moment before her expression hardened into a defensive mask. It's all in the past, she said dismissively. Leo is being bullied too. I just thought he could learn from your experience and get through it. I shot up from my chair, the tears now streaming freely down my face. So you did tell him? Even after you knew how desperately I wanted to forget all of it. You showed him the pictures too, didn't you, Chloe? You promised me no one would ever see those again? I angrily swiped the gift she had given me off my desk. It hit the floor and shattered, much like my trust in her. Leo was the first to react. He moved to stand protectively in front of Chloe, his own eyes welling with tears. Mark, you're blaming Chloe for no reason, he said, his voice trembling. She didn't show me the photos. I found them myself on your old middle school's online forum. I don't mind if you're angry with me, but you need to apologize to Chloe. She didn't do anything wrong. His face was a mask of sorrow, as if he were the one who had been deeply wronged. Heads started to turn in our direction. I could feel the weight of their indecipherable gazes on me. I ignored them all, keeping my eyes locked on Chloe. She didn't respond to Leo's defense, but slowly got to her feet, looking a bit lost as she stared back at me. Mark, she said softly, I didn't realize you cared so much. I thought it was all behind us. Leo tried to speak again, but Chloe cut him off, her attention fixed solely on me. Her voice was laced with a hint of panic. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking about your feelings. I just wanted to help Leo. I hoped you would understand. Perhaps my expression was more intimidating than I realized, because Leo stepped forward to offer his own apology. He theatrically wiped away non-existent tears and clutched my arm tightly. With a strained smile, he said, Mark, it's all my fault. I never should have needed Chloe's comfort in the first place. It's fine if I have to face the school bullies all by myself. I'll be okay, please. Just don't be mad at Chloe. But his grip was too tight, his fingernails digging through the fabric of my shirt and into my skin. The physical pressure triggered a flood of old, terrifying memories. Being locked in that cramped bathroom stall. The sharp pain of someone pinching me. In a desperate rush to break free, I shoved my arm away. Leo lost his balance and fell backward, his body crashing hard against the corner of a desk before he crumpled to the floor. Shards of broken glass from the gift I'd knocked over sliced into his leg, and bright red blood began to gush from the wound. Mark! he gasped, clutching his leg. "I know I shouldn't have gotten close to Chloe, but she was just trying to help me. What did we do that was so wrong? We're both victims of bullying. Why are you treating me this way?" With just a few sentences, he masterfully shifted all the blame onto me. Murmurs and complaints started to erupt from the students around us. "He's crazy. It was just a conversation about his past. What's the big deal? Why is he so angry? Chloe isn't his property. He doesn't get to decide who her friends are. She was just helping a classmate. If you ask me, maybe he wasn't really bullied. Maybe he just deserved it." My face went pale, and my hands clenched into tight fists. I stared intensely at Chloe, waiting for her to say something, to defend me. Instead, she pushed me aside in a surge of anger and bent down to help Leo. The push was forceful, jarring my shoulder. "Mark, that's enough," she snapped. "He was only trying to comfort you. Even if what I did was wrong, you shouldn't be taking it out on Leo. You can see that he's hurt. What you're doing right now makes you no different from the people who bullied you." She gently helped Leo to his feet and started walking him toward the nurse's office. Before she left the room, she shot me a look of profound disappointment. "Just because you were bullied doesn't give you a free pass to treat everyone else with the worst possible intentions. Mark, nobody owes you anything." Eventually, the whole incident made its way to our teacher. After school, our parents were called in for a meeting. When Chloe's mom heard the full story, she couldn't stop apologizing to me. She even grabbed Chloe by the arm and demanded that she apologize as well. Years ago, when her mom first found out that I was being bullied, she was the one who proactively suggested that Chloe and I transfer to the same new school so she could look after me. It was her idea for Chloe to be my companion, to be my protector. I had always been grateful for her kindness and never wanted to make her feel guilty. Over the years, my own mother had been diligent about taking me to see a therapist, and I had made significant progress. I wasn't the same timid kid who was terrified to even leave the house after the slightest threat. Besides, my therapist had taught me a crucial lesson. Waiting for someone else to save you is not a solution. In the end, only I could truly save myself. I politely reassured Chloe's mom that everything was fine and told her that I had grown up and no longer needed Chloe's protection. She looked at me with deep apology in her eyes. When Chloe heard me reject her role as my guardian, she looked up suddenly, her eyes wide. "Mark, what did you just say? You don't need me anymore?" I paused for a moment, then gave a firm nod. "Yes, I'm grateful for all the help you gave me back then, but I think it's time for you to have your own life. I won't be a bother to you anymore. You can go and help anyone else you want to, without any interference from me." Hearing this, Chloe's face turned icy cold. Her voice was dripping with sarcasm. "So you just use people and then throw them away, is that it? Fine. You're so great now, Mark. You'll regret this." After spitting out those words, she stormed out of the room. Chloe then found someone to switch seats with, moving from her spot in front of me to become Leo's new deskmate. It felt like she was deliberately trying to get under my skin. She was always making a racket while I was trying to study, and would accidentally drop her things near my desk to disrupt my concentration. When I'd look over, she would feign indifference and turn back to her jokes with Leo. He couldn't resist gloating, his tone mocking. "Well, if it isn't our star student, Mark, sorry if we're disrupting your studies. Let me apologize on Chloe's behalf." He'd then lean closer. "But a big-hearted top student like you wouldn't mind picking up my pencil for me, would you?" I never missed the smug, challenging glint in his eyes, but I refused to give him the satisfaction of a reaction. I silently kicked his things to the side and ignored him completely. One day, my homeroom teacher pulled me aside. He explained that many students hesitated to intervene in bullying situations because they simply didn't know how to help. He hoped that I might be willing to give a talk at the school assembly the following week. He wanted me to share my story and explain to everyone that bringing up someone's old scars to comfort a new victim isn't helpful. He believed that unity and courage were the most effective tools against bullying. His words made a lot of sense to me, and I agreed. On the day of the flag-raising ceremony, I chose to wear the school's summer uniform shorts, making no effort to hide the faint scars that still marked my legs. I stood at the podium and openly shared my past experiences. "Pity and sympathy can't pull someone out of the darkness of being bullied," I said, my voice steady. "True respect comes from treating each other as equals. Being bullied was never my fault, and I will never be ashamed of my past." Thinking for a moment, I added, "Similarly, using one person's trauma to comfort another doesn't make the shadows of bullying go away. But standing together in unity and companionship can—" The entire student body erupted in thunderous applause. The only person who wasn't clapping was Chloe. She just stood there, staring intently at me. After the ceremony, I made my way against the flow of the crowd to the bathroom to splash some water on my face. Suddenly, someone grabbed my arm and yanked me into an empty corner. It was Chloe. She leaned against my shoulder, her eyes red and brimming with frustration. "Mark, what was that all about?" she demanded. "Are you deliberately trying to oppose me? You know I just wanted to help Leo, yet you went up there and intentionally said all that. Are you trying to embarrass me in front of the whole school?" "Do you also feel embarrassed?" I whispered, taking a deep breath and meeting her gaze directly. I finally asked the question that had been burning inside me since this whole mess began. "When you told Leo about my past, when he showed everyone my pictures, when you took his side without question and accused me of being the bully, did you ever stop to think that I might feel embarrassed too?" Chloe knew perfectly well how much I wanted to erase those scars. Over the years, I had seen countless doctors and explored dozens of treatments. My mom had told me she would do anything, spend any amount of money to get rid of those ugly marks if it would make me happy, but I chose to keep them. It wasn't because I didn't mind them, it was precisely because I did. I was far from brave. Sometimes, just glancing at them was enough to trigger a flood of humiliating memories. I kept them as a constant reminder that to truly move past it, I first had to conquer my own fear and face myself. Back then, Chloe had seemed to understand all my pain and uncertainty. "Don't worry," she used to say. "I'll always be there for you." She told me that no one could be brave all the time, but that she would always be there to give me courage. And I believed her, simply because it was her saying it. Yet she was the one who chose to spill the very secrets I wanted to keep hidden, all to comfort some guy we barely knew, without a single thought for how it would make me feel. Leo had claimed that Chloe never showed him the pictures, which meant she hadn't technically violated the promise we made. So, in his eyes, I had no grounds to blame her. Chloe, at the time, didn't deny this. She hadn't considered that by using my trauma as a tool to be wielded at her convenience, she had already hurt me deeply. My words seemed to shock her. She took a few steps back, a look of remorse finally crossing her face. She said she was sorry, but I had no energy left to argue about it. I simply brushed past her, rubbing the shoulder she had grabbed, and walked away. My teacher was right. I had more important things to focus on. As I turned the corner, I ran straight into Leo, who was obviously looking for Chloe. He looked panicked, probably afraid of what I might say to her. He quickly tried to turn the situation around and pin the blame on me again. "Mark, what's the point of blaming Chloe? Talking about these things is the only way to heal. You can't just avoid it forever. You need to face everything to move past the shadows." He paused, biting his lip as he glanced in Chloe's direction. His voice softened. "Besides, Chloe was just trying to help me. We weren't making fun of you. Why are you so upset and giving her such a hard time?" I looked up at him calmly. "Leo, don't try to guilt trip me. This is my story, my business. I don't want anyone else to know about it, and no one has the right to share it." After that day, Chloe began a campaign to win back my forgiveness. She would buy the kind of breakfast I liked every morning and leave it on my desk before I arrived. I would then give the breakfast to a classmate from a less fortunate family, telling them it was a kind gesture from Chloe, who was just too shy to deliver it herself. Chloe noticed what I was doing, but she didn't give up. Meanwhile, Leo seemed to be growing more and more agitated. When he found out I was in charge of writing a script for the upcoming school anniversary play, he approached me with a stack of novels. "Mark, I was wrong before," he said, oozing false sincerity. "I didn't realize how sensitive you were. I'm so sorry for upsetting you. To make it up to you, let me help you with your script. I've read a lot of books and have some great ideas." I twirled the pen in my hand and gave him a casual smile. "Sure. I'm writing a play about anti-bullying. The first scene is about how exposing someone's wounds without their permission is its own form of bullying. Since you have so much personal experience in that area, would you like to write it?" I offered the pen to him. He hesitated, his face turning pale as he refused to take it. "What do you mean by that?" he asked. My deskmate, who had been listening, couldn't hold back any longer. She crossed her arms and said mockingly, "He means you should come back and talk to Mark once you actually understand what you did wrong. Don't do something awful, and then blame him for not being tough enough to take it. Playing the victim seems to be your specialty, doesn't it? Don't think the rest of us are stupid." "I didn't mean it that way," Leo started to protest, but my deskmate cut him off. She pulled a pack of tissues from her desk and opened a fresh trash bag. "I figured you'd try to pull this stunt. Go ahead and cry all you want, but make sure you clean up your own mess. Don't you dare try to claim we bullied you." Leo's tears hung awkwardly on his eyelashes. At that exact moment, Chloe walked in. Seeing the scene, she walked quickly toward us, a hopeful look in Leo's eyes, tracking her every move. She walked right past him and placed a freshly baked cake on my desk. "It's a new flavor from the snack shop," she said softly. "Mark, you've been working so hard lately. I thought a little sweetness might cheer you up." I gently pushed it back toward her. "No, thank you, Chloe. I've told you before. You have your life, and I have mine. Let's not interfere with each other." Chloe looked crestfallen. "Can't we even be friends anymore?" I just smiled and remained silent. My deskmate, however, chimed in with a pointed blink. "I don't know how you people talk in the city, but where I come from, we don't call a relationship that involves picking at someone's deepest scars a friendship." Chloe looked down at me, seeming to hope that I would speak up for her, that I would defend her. But unlike the time she had stayed silent while Leo mocked me, I just laughed. Leo tugged on Chloe's sleeve. "Chloe," he whimpered. She finally seemed to notice him still standing there and frowned. "Why are you still here?" Leo looked even more embarrassed. My deskmate kindly filled Chloe in on what had just happened. After listening, Chloe simply turned to Leo without a backward glance and said, "You're not the right fit for this." Then, cautiously, she turned back to me. "Mark, during those times when you needed me, I collected a lot of resources on bullying. I have a lot of experience. Can I help you with the play?" Without a moment's hesitation, I refused. "No, thank you. You're not right for this either." After that day, Chloe continued to slip materials related to bullying onto my desk, always doing it when I wasn't around, clearly afraid of my direct refusal. She would often bring huge stacks of papers at once, all of which she had clearly copied down by hand. It was obvious she was sacrificing her own study time to do this. In the latest monthly exams, Chloe's grades dropped significantly. She didn't seem to care. Her only concern was my script. "Mark, I collected some new resources," she'd say. "I'll summarize them over the weekend and get them to you next week. Wait for me." Her eyes would sparkle with a desperate hope. One afternoon, I gathered all the printed information she had given me recently. I bent down, rummaged through the bottom of my backpack for the older materials she'd provided, and spread everything out on the table between us. "I got the information you gave me last time," I explained straightforwardly, "but a lot of your statistics are outdated and can't be used. Chloe, I appreciate your good intentions, but I don't need this. I'm not that timid person who needs protection anymore. I have the courage and the ability to move forward on my own now." Chloe had always seemed to think I was joking when I told her she wasn't suitable for the project. The reality didn't hit her until the script was finished, and the final cast list was posted without her name on it. After school that day, she stopped me. "Mark, why didn't you choose me?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Did you forget all the times I was there for you? Or do you just care that I tried to help Leo too?" She had deliberately chosen to confront me on a specific road, one that led west toward the sea. Every time I had felt overwhelmed and wanted to escape reality, every time I felt scared, Chloe had brought me here to walk along the beach. There were always people dancing by the water, and nearby stood an old, abandoned amusement park where kids would go on adventures. Chloe would always pull me into the crowd of strangers, and somehow, amidst the lively chaos of other people's lives, my own troubles would feel smaller, and I would find a sense of peace. "I haven't forgotten," I said quietly. I had started thinking about the play a long time ago, and back then, there was an important role that I had reserved specifically for her. My plan was for us to work together, to raise awareness about bullying and fight against it. But then Leo stood there with his phone, claiming that revealing my past was Chloe's idea, and everything changed. I suddenly realized that Chloe wasn't really suited for the role I had imagined for her. Even she herself had admitted it was all in the past. "Leo is faking it, Chloe, can't you see?" I finally said, the words I'd held back for so long spilling out. "Those injuries he claims to have aren't from protecting his friends from bullies. He bashed himself against a wall just to have an excuse to get close to you. I saw the whole thing, and afterward he threatened me, telling me not to tell you or he'd make sure I got kicked out of school, just like I was in junior high." The memory of the bruise on my shoulder no longer hurt physically, but the memory of the threat still stung. From the beach not far away, I could hear the faint sound of children laughing. Chloe took a shaky breath. "Mark, you don't have any proof," she said slowly. "I can't just gamble on your word. Maybe there's a tiny 1 in a million chance that Leo is genuinely being bullied. I can't give up on him just because the odds seem low. Besides, honestly, you and your friends have been giving him the cold shoulder lately." "Oh, so that's how it is," I said. After my speech at the assembly, a lot of students who had been on the fence, who weren't close to me but were uncomfortable with Leo's actions, started approaching me. They asked for advice on how to handle bullying situations. They admitted they hadn't publicly refuted Leo, not because they supported him, but because they were afraid of saying the wrong thing and hurting me further. Once I had laid everything out in the open, they felt free to act. A circle of friends began to form around me, offering support and care. I was aware that Leo had been telling people I was encouraging others to ostracize him, but I had never paid much attention to his lies. I never expected that he would spin that same tale to Chloe. Her words were the final blow, shattering the last bit of warmth I held for our past friendship. The wind seemed to sigh around us. I heard myself whisper, "Chloe, you really are something. Quite the humanitarian." She never brought up the play again. I heard that she and Leo were working on a new performance, a dance piece about anti-bullying where Leo planned to incorporate all of his experiences into the choreography. I couldn't have cared less. But during our own rehearsals, I would often overhear loud arguments coming from the dance studio next door. Leo would accuse Chloe of not being committed, of still being hung up on my play. Chloe's voice would sound exhausted as she replied that it didn't matter anymore. She just wanted to do something meaningful. They fought constantly. Their rehearsals were a mess, and Chloe's grades continued to plummet. Later, Chloe started to watch our rehearsals from the doorway during our breaks. If anyone asked, she'd say she was just learning from us, that since we were all aiming for the same goal, we were comrades, not competitors. No one really bothered her. Surprisingly, when Leo found out, he didn't get mad. He actually encouraged her to learn from us. My deskmate always said something felt off, and we started checking our props meticulously every day. But when I finally realized something was truly wrong, it was too late. While I was verifying the props backstage, someone shoved me from behind. There was oil on the floor that I hadn't noticed. I lost my balance and went tumbling down a short flight of stairs, my leg twisting beneath me. The next day was our final dress rehearsal. I woke up in a hospital bed to find out that it was Chloe who had accidentally spilled the oil. She said Leo had asked her to move some props. On her last trip, she felt something spill, but assumed it was just water. She was about to go back and check when someone called her away, and she never made it back to clean it up. Since I had fallen in a surveillance camera blind spot, no one knew who had pushed me. In the hospital room, Chloe looked utterly remorseful, seemingly more distraught than I was, even though I was the one with the injured leg. "I didn't know Leo would do something like this," she sobbed, her face buried in her hands. "I truly just wanted to help him. Every time I see him looking so wronged, I think of how you used to be, hiding in the closet and crying because you were too scared to fight back. Mark, I genuinely don't want anyone else to go through what you did." I managed a cynical smile. Even at this point, she was still trying to distance herself from any real responsibility. I didn't engage with her guilt trip. I just asked a simple question. "Does it hurt?" Chloe looked up, confused. What are you talking about?" "A while back," I repeated patiently, "when everyone was mocking you for hanging out with Leo and questioning your judgment. Did it hurt? I'm sure it did. When Leo exposed my past to everyone, it hurt me even more. All the old pain came surging back at once. It was hard to breathe. But in that moment, something became very clear to me. Chloe, maybe you never really took school bullying seriously. Back then, you were willing to help me because the person being bullied was me. When it was someone else you wanted to save, everything I had been through suddenly didn't matter anymore. Maybe you were never the person I was looking for." In that moment of clarity, I finally let go. "There's something I've always wanted to return to you," I said. "You didn't care enough to find out the truth and just sided with Leo. How does that make you any different from the people who bullied me?" She had proven she was unsuitable. Chloe left the hospital room looking completely lost. After she was gone, my dad came in with a bag of fruit. "Dad," I said, looking out the window at the swaying trees, "I'm done with Chloe. We've been done for a while now." My dad didn't ask for details. He just handed me a slice of apple and said calmly, "Then it's done. Many things in life are out of your control, but some things, like the direction you want your life to go and the people you choose to travel with, those are up to you." The next day was the performance. Time was tight, but we always had a backup plan. A classmate stepped in to fill my role, and we switched to an alternate version of the script. The only change was the addition of a character who walked with a limp, but was still determined to fight alongside his friends. On the day of the performance, I walked onto the stage with a crutch. Near the end of the show, I joined everyone in ringing a large bell, a symbol of justice, unity, and bravery. The applause was deafening and continued long after the curtain fell. I didn't see Chloe. I heard her and Leo's act was cut from the show. Apparently, their performance was mediocre at best and had only been considered because of its anti-bullying message, a message they had plagiarized from my play while simultaneously trying to sabotage it. The school wasn't going to showcase that kind of hypocrisy. Afterward, some friends helped me piece together what happened. The police had come to investigate the incident, but with so many people coming and going backstage before the rehearsal, they couldn't find any conclusive evidence. Everyone suspected Leo was the one who pushed me, but without proof, we had to let it go. We just kept an eye on him, hoping he'd eventually slip up. Once my leg healed, I threw myself into studying for the college entrance exams. I never reached out to Chloe again. If I passed her in the hallways, I acted as if she were a stranger. Sometimes I'd catch her looking at me with a complicated expression. Maybe guilt, maybe something else. I was too busy wrestling with advanced physics problems to care. Later, I found out the real reason Chloe's mom had pushed her to befriend me. She knew her daughter struggled with judgment and was easily led by others. By helping me, Chloe had learned to think before she acted, and her temper and grades had improved. In a way, we had helped each other grow. But eventually we grew apart. I heard about Chloe again when she got into a physical fight with some of Leo's friends. That's when the whole truth came out. Chloe hadn't been sticking by Leo because he had something on her, or because she'd lost her way. She had been trying to find evidence to prove he was the one who had pushed me. In the process, she stumbled upon him bullying another student. When she intervened to protect the other kid, she got badly beaten up and missed that year's college entrance exams. Leo and his friends were finally held accountable and taken away by the authorities. As the class representative, I visited Chloe to share the news. She handed me a small, handmade osmanthus flower. "Mark," she said with a faint smile, "I wish you a bright future." When the exam results were released, I was accepted into my dream school. The school invited me back to give a speech and share my experiences. I stood at the podium and openly thanked everyone who had helped me along the way. "The road ahead will have its dark moments," I said, "but good mentors and good friends will light the way. If you face injustice, you have to speak up. Life sometimes requires courage. I might have been timid once, but now, when it matters, I choose to be brave." I mentioned Chloe's attempt to expose Leo, and a collective sigh went through the audience. The school, however, did not recommend her methods, and used both her and Leo as cautionary tales during a follow-up assembly. Leo was exposed as a manipulative liar who faked being a victim for attention while being a bully himself. Chloe, for her poor judgment and rash actions, was also held up as an example of what not to do. I listened quietly, taking notes. The teacher said, "Don't ever think that being close with someone gives you the right to joke about their past. Even with the best intentions, using someone's story is wrong. Their past is not a token for you to use." As the teacher was speaking, Chloe suddenly appeared by my side. As someone who was directly involved, she understood that some of the details being shared were things I had told the teachers. Her lips trembled, and her face was pale. "Mark," she whispered, "you've never let others laugh at me before." I put down my pen and looked up at her calmly. "Didn't you say it's all in the past? I'm just hoping others can learn from where you went wrong." I think in that moment, Chloe finally understood what her mistakes had truly cost us. Because of her choices, the past was the only thing left between us. There was no future. Later that year, my mom got a job in the city where my university was located, and we moved before the semester started. While packing, I gave my old notes and school materials to a younger student who lived nearby. Accidentally, an old diary got mixed in with the papers. The student brought it back, teasing, "Senior, you forgot this." I just told him to throw it away. That diary contained detailed notes about all the ways Chloe had helped me, and a list of dreams that had once included her. It had once been so important to me that I slept with it under my pillow. But on the day Chloe insisted that I had to understand her need to help Leo, I realized that the most important thing was to be the one person who never gives up on yourself. I tossed the journal into a public trash can near my old home and took the student to a nearby ice cream shop to talk about my college plans. I had no idea that Chloe was watching from a distance that day. She saw me throw the journal away, and after I was gone, she retrieved it from the trash and cried over it. I didn't know this at the time, but even if I had, what difference would it have made? I had already committed the important things to memory. Feelings that shouldn't be held on to are best let go of early. Years later, I graduated from college and became a journalist. I focused on investigative reporting, dedicated to getting real, timely information out to the public and uncovering injustices. I never imagined I would run into Leo again, but I did. That year he was taken away. He missed his college exams and never bothered to retake them. He got a job right out of high school. I saw him while I was reporting on a story. He was the subject. A man named Oliver, Leo's co-worker, claimed Leo had been bullying him for years. He also accused Leo of encouraging his own child to bully Oliver's son at school. "I can't seem to shake him off," Oliver told me, "but I won't let my son suffer the way I have." Leo saw me from across the room and, after a moment of shock, became enraged. "Mark, are you here to laugh at me? You never let anything go, do you? Even after all these years, you still want to isolate me." I ignored his outburst and simply reported the facts of the story. After it aired, more people came forward with their own stories about Leo. The evidence was overwhelming, and he finally had to face serious consequences for his actions. At a class reunion a while later, everyone was talking about the story. A classmate clinked her glass against mine. "Mark, congratulations on becoming such a great reporter," she said. "If I hadn't seen your report, I never would have known Leo was still such a monster." She handed me a piece of fruit, her expression turning worried. "I hear reporters sometimes face retaliation for exposing ugly truths. Please be careful, Mark. We're all behind you." I hugged her and smiled. "I'm fine," I replied. "This is what I've always wanted to do. I won't stop just because it might be dangerous." Eventually, the conversation turned to Chloe. I heard she had repeated a year of high school, but had lost her motivation and failed the exams a second time. She ended up at a lesser college, graduated, and now worked in a factory. Someone said they had seen her recently. She had almost been seriously injured in a work accident and was harshly scolded by her supervisor. My old deskmate hesitated for a moment before saying, "I always thought Chloe wasn't right for you, Mark. You were always meant for bigger things. You'll find better companions." I just smiled and said nothing. The truth was, I had seen Chloe recently, too. After a long day on a shoot, I was eating at a street food stall with some colleagues when I saw her sitting alone at a nearby table. She hesitated for a long time, but eventually came over and raised a glass to me. Out of the blue, she asked if things might have been different between us now, if she had been more patient back then, if she had seen through Leo's lies sooner. But there are no what-ifs in life. The twists and turns of fate are what make every step we take so critical. I remembered a hot summer day, the endless chirping of cicadas, and a girl with a gloomy face casting a shadow over me as she apologized. And I remembered that I didn't say it was fine.